Greetings everyone, and welcome to Anime Night in the Dojo. Today's featured show, My Hero Academia, the final season.
Yeah, My Hero Academia, the final season, episode 5. Welcome back to the dojo. I'm Ryu. That's Age. We're back for more Anime Night in the dojo. And you guys watched our last Has-Been stuff. I'm much less dead than before, so that's a plus. Unfortunately, we're not doing Has-Been yet, so hopefully by the time we get to Has-Been, I will be less dead. And continue to stay less dead. It's been... it is what it is. I'm feeling okay. But anyway, you know who's not feeling okay? All for One. He's not even dead. He just doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
That what happened to him doesn't count as dead because he regressed out of existence. So that's a completely different thing. And Bakugo brought home the win, and Hawks' quirk factor got all the chicks. It even messed up my camera. Anyway, so that was a thing. So All for One is dealt with. All that's left is, if there's any remaining aspect of him left in Shigaraki, which he's completely suppressed because he's even bigger of a monster than All for One was, apparently. So that's where we're at. You know, that's like the last major thing. I'd like to see that villain that's like the homage guy that we talked about. I like to see them handle it, but it's probably going to be an off-the-screen thing, let's be real here. It was just kind of cool to see it and talk about it, honestly, thinking about it more. I don't think we're going to see anything with it. If anything, it's going to be as minimal as the plant guy stuff was with Hagakure and Aoyama. You guys have any idea how many names I have to remember these days? It's not happy. It's terrible. We just got through watching Eminence and Shadow, catching up with that for Isekai Quartet, and really, honestly glad we didn't do a reaction series or review series for it, because I have enough to say about that in like an hour total for all of that, 24 plus 12 season. Camera, please. So really glad we decided just to watch that in our own time and then maybe talk about it, in its own like singular video. But all those names, I mean, given it was, alpha, beta, gamma, all the way through the like Roman, lettering, but still, it was too much.
Yeah, the biggest thing with that one, was basically just keeping track of who was who, not really remembering what the names were.
But yeah, remembering the names are easy. You just remember the Roman, native phonetic alphabet, whatever. But it's just like, which one were you? I remember Delta. She's the dog girl. That was it. And Alpha, obviously. But the rest of them, it's like, which one were you again?
Yeah, we still never got like anything on the cat girl.
Yeah, and she was very prevalent in the OPs in that. So, my question
was right at the end. Apparently, she has a rivalry with Delta.
Yeah, my question is, why doesn't MHA have a cat girl? Missed opportunity, honestly. Hagakure could have been an invisible cat girl. But I digress. It will be interesting to see what we get here, because this season is 11 episodes. So after this episode, we're basically halfway through the season. So we talked about how we're probably going to get like epilogue shenanigans, which I assume will be at least 2 episodes. If they can get it all into one, so be it, whatever. But all we got left is a Shigaraki fight, all that stuff that comes with it, all the stuff that we discussed in previous seasons. So, yeah.
We got the Shigaraki fight and any potential shenanigans the Doctor might try to pull.
Yeah. And I assume we'll get what the hell happened with Kurogiri and Mike and Aizawa. I can't assume they just like poofed away and we're not going to see them again. You know what I mean? That'd be kind of weird.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we're going to push some buttons and get going here. So you guys on Patreon, we'll see you on the other side of the edit for the timer reaction. And people on YouTube, we'll see you on the other side for the discussion and review. So, here goes something. Well, alrighty then. There you guys have it. We've officially lost Danger Sense, which Deku kind of points it out in this episode, where if you rely too much on, like, the danger sense or the spider sense. That's another big one that's like, it's probably one of the earliest examples of something like danger sense. You know, I mean, Spider-Man's been around for quite some time at this point. I'd be surprised if anything predates that. Something might, but I don't know of it. But it's when you rely too much on like that kind of like autonomous thing, it at a certain point, generally speaking, like Deku says, fights like Nagant show you its weakness. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, like if you have some form of automated ability to like sense danger and avoid it, and the opponent figures that out, they can plan around it.
Yep.
It's just like freaking Gachiakuda, Jabber, planning around the whole like autonomous defense of the charm. Like once you figure it out, you know what the person's going to do, and therefore you can plan around it.
Yep.
And when the person's acting autonomously, they can't really do anything about you planning around it.
Yep. So, stealing Danger Sense was, well, again, not his choice. He was going to try to steal everything, basically. But it's kind of interesting that he was able to steal an individual quirk factor out of there. But I believe that was something that was stated as possible. So...
Well, normally the thing is, all for one, the quirk only steals one power. So, when dealing with someone with multiple powers, presumably he has to hit them with it multiple times and only steals one power at a time.
Right. So, maybe this was just because of this space that they were in, the Danger Sense guy was able to do something about it and, like, force it to be him.
Yeah,
you know
that was the whole thing. It was like it looked like he was reaching for. Initially, he was reaching for Black Whip, but the Danger Sense guy did the get down, Mr. President, and pushed everyone out of the way and took one for the team.
Yep. So, that is what it is. It could be also a detriment to Shigaraki, as you know Deku was trying to use. But again, he has Search still. You know what I mean? So at the end of the day, Smokescreen is kind of useless outside of the fact that Shigaraki can't selectively target the ground. You know what I mean? He can't target something that he can't see. He can see Deku, obviously, with Search, but he can't see the ground. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it obfuscates the environment, but yeah, Deku himself cannot hide from Shigaraki because of Search.
Yep. So it's definitely a very interesting fight sequence for everything that they're doing. I think I gotta give them props for somebody actually using Mount Fuji for once. You know how many series are set in Japan? Most of them. And it's just... when do you see like anything Mount Fuji related? It's such a big time landmark, obviously, for what it is. And it's very...
Mount Fuji holds a lot of cultural significance to Japan.
So it's kind of crazy that it's not used more. You know what I mean?
I think it's still like the biggest use of Mount Fuji in any anime that I usually attribute it to is once again the Code Geass, the fact that they had like their whole base built within Mount Fuji.
Yeah, but just like as a general thing, like I know a lot of characters like mention it. You know, like I know Subaru mentions it in ReZero and stuff like that, but you know, that's set in another world at this point. But still, a lot of the characters mention it in certain places. Like it's mentioned a lot in the Persona series, stuff like that, but they never really go there. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. You see it in a lot of like slice of life where it's like, hey, look, it's Mount Fuji, but they don't actually go there. You know what I mean? You like just kind of see it as like a landmark in the background, like they're on the train and they're passing it or whatever. They never really do anything with it. It's kind of weird. You know what I mean? It'd be kind of like, you know, not going to the Empire State Building in New York. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Like you didn't do anything with like every time like a show goes to Paris, they're doing something at the Eiffel Tower. You know what I mean?
Hell, like even in anime, like they're constantly freaking doing shit at Tokyo Tower.
Yeah, Tokyo Tower. That's always a thing. So it's just kind of weird when you think about it. Just maybe there are certain shows that use it that we haven't seen, obviously, because there's a lot of media out there, obviously. But for like a lot of the like bigger, well-known stuff that we've watched, it's like, yeah, we've seen Mount Fuji and stuff, but it's never had like, even this is just kind of like a it's a vehicle for Shigaraki's destruction to go harder. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, because it can force Mount Fuji to erupt. Mount Fuji would do a lot of his work for him in destroying Japan.
right. Which we mentioned at the end of the reaction, which we got a bunch of the numbers on that. Like he put out the size of Japan in square kilometers, and he said it would take him about a week. So, you know, that's still a fairly short amount of time for destroying an entire country, an entire landmass.
Yeah.
So that's it. While it might not be like Planet Buster, like super crazy nonsense, you know, like Dragon Ball characters or those other characters that can do that kind of thing. It's not like he's exerting himself using decay. It just like he just has to touch it and it'll go. You know what I mean? That's like saying it's going to take a week if I just tap that mountain over there, and then decay will take out the country in a week. You know?
Yeah, the limiting factor for him isn't power. It's not that he doesn't have enough power to destroy the world. The problem is just his range isn't big enough to affect the entire world.
Yep.
So, yes, the week is literally just him walking 5 miles, touching the ground, walking 5 miles, touching the ground.
Yeah, it's like reverse Steven Universe at the end of that movie. You know, when he has to fix Beach City, same thing. It just took him a minute, or you know, several weeks of kissing the ground. Same thing. But either way, it's definitely kind of like an interesting way to go about this. How they're handling just like the situation that they're in and all that. The fact that they still have cameras on this somehow is, are they going full like Goku Spirit Bomb? Is that what they're gonna do here? You know, it's gonna take like the amalgamation of One for All to like do a thing at the end. Is that what they're gonna do here? The will of the people. Are we doing this again?
Well, once again, we've already established will of the people does have some effect, because once again, that was the whole thing with like rewriting Night Eye's predictions was will of the people shenanigans in both cases.
Right.
But also, yeah, no, we have the freaking business course students camming anytime they're close enough to UA. But then also, there's like the freaking helicopter reporters and stuff that have been following on the outskirts of the fight.
Yeah. So even if we don't see the helicopter, it's probably one of them because there were multiple of them out there. So it's kind of like an interesting thing to know that this is being broadcast to the whole world, and there's like, all you can do is watch.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there's no reinforcements at this point. At all. Everybody's knocked out. Everybody in the country. You know what I mean? It's literally just Deku versus Shigaraki, and that's it. Nobody's coming. Nobody's in any shape to do anything outside of like Mike and Aizawa, I guess.
Yeah, we could still have freaking an Aizawa out of nowhere, or a random Eri sighting.
Yeah.
But once again, Eri still doesn't really know how to use her quirk very well. And Aizawa is currently off in Nowheresville with Mike.
Yeah, so, but again, based on everything that happened in this episode and everything that the second wielder was talking about, like using himself as a Bakugo cannon, if he ends up having to give up like all for one, or at least most of it, he's probably going to need Aizawa to erase. They have to. The big limiting factor on all this is erasing decay.
Yeah.
While his other quirk factors that he has are a problem, he doesn't have as many of them as his master did because of Star. She destroyed a lot of them. He has a lot of his movement ones left, like his bread and butter movement things and like air cannons and stuff, and decay, obviously. But he's not the Swiss Army Crunchyroll player knife that he used to be.
Yeah, no, his yeah, his number of quirks he has was just very limited compared to All for One in the first place. Like All for One had thousands of quirks stockpiled over the years.
Yeah.
Shigaraki had like a couple dozen, and then lost like a little over half of them to Star and Stripe. So now he's down to like 10 or 15 at this point.
Yeah.
His biggest threat is still just decay, and then the fact that he can still steal quirks if given the opportunity.
Yep. So it's going to be an interesting theory to test. And again, as the second wielder points out, Deku would lose the fatigue from Gear Shift because it's gone. If the quirk factor is gone, the negative effect can't hurt you anymore. You know what I mean? It's kind of like there's a term for that, but I forget what it is. But either way, you guys get it. And at this point, he wouldn't have been able to use it again anyway.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like,
yeah, it's his strongest quirk, but at this point, it's already exerted to the point where it's only a detriment to him. So like,
yeah, it's like
Second was saying, like,
one of your fuel tanks is
worst.
empty. You might as well just jettison it because then you'll lose weight. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Meanwhile, like the second said, like even if the force transfer doesn't work like they want it to, and Shigaraki ends up with Gear Shift, it's already overexerted, so it would work for him anyway.
Yeah. And in theory, I guess, exhaust him because it's already been used.
Oh, yeah, it's already an exhausted state. If he tried to use it, it would just hit him with the backlash instead.
Yeah. Because here at the end of the day, as was pointed out, Smokescreen still has its use, but it's probably his most useless thing at the moment. Bajin doesn't have a backlash, so it's going to be still useful. And Black Whip is the thing that he cannot lose. You could argue that he could also, losing Float would be bad too, because that could keep him off the ground and off of decay.
Well, the thing is, as long as his body is intact, he doesn't really even need Float either, because once again, he can just propel himself with air blasts like he originally did.
Yeah.
The thing with Float really just gives him more control over it. It makes it to where he doesn't need to constantly be propelling himself.
Yeah. So, either way, it was nice to see him actually use like air pressure again, like at its max capability, not just his gloves. You know what I mean? So it was kind of nice to see that, going back to that whole like discussion with All Might that he had about it, and like how All Might originally utilized wind pressure. So it was nice that he was able to counter decay with that, because you know, if something's decaying and you blast it away, if it's trying to get to somewhere and it's up in the air, it can't continue the chain reaction.
Yeah, the whole thing with decay is just that it spreads, and if it's not touching anything, therefore it can't spread.
Yep. It's definitely a unique circumstance, but again, the fight sequence has been reasonable enough for what it was. Obviously, they're going very hyper-focused on not even redeeming him, just kind of like getting through to the little kid in him. And I don't know. I don't know. Is it going to be like one of those things where he's going to like literally smash away everything that's not the little kid? Is that where we're going here? That's what we're going for here. Just somehow he's just gonna like destroy everything that's not the original. I forget what his original name was. Was like Shinya or something. But
something like that. But yeah, he's forgetting his original personality as not his grandson.
Yeah. So is that what we're looking for here? Is to just smash away everything that's not the original? So
I imagine basically what's going to end up happening is that, yeah, we're going to keep attacking his mind until Deku manages to reach his original personality. But that chances are Shigaraki himself is just too far gone, and they're still going to have to kill him anyway.
Yeah. So, again, the biggest wild cards here are Mike and Aizawa, obviously, because if Aizawa can show up and do something, even if he doesn't have Monoma backing him up, he can still do something. He still has his quirk factor. So we'll just have to see if that's a thing. But that's obviously as much as we talked about the shenanigan with the the other fight sequence going on that we're probably not going to see. Obviously, the biggest question mark right now is how and when are Mike and Aizawa going to show up, because they have to, right? They're not just going to write the whole Kurogiri thing out of the end sequence here, right? So,
yeah, the biggest thing really is Mike and Aizawa, and then the other two like outliers being Eri or the Doctor potentially getting involved.
Right. So, either way, we're just kind of in watch and see the madness mode. There's only so much we can discuss about these things at this point, so that's really all I got for this week. You know, it's a plan, so that's what we're going for. But once again, Black Whip is versatile, for real. Not on like the WoW versatility that I need to make fun of at every turn. So you can't lose your most versatile quirk. That would be the worst.
Yeah, no, I guess as it stands, Black Whip is literally the only thing even holding it together at this point. He's thoroughly reinforced his entire body because friggin' his muscles are shot, tendons are torn, he's got broken bones. It's basically just entirely through force of will and Black Whip.
Yep. So, anyway, that's all I got. We'll leave you on some ghosts, some very colorful ghosts. Look at them. You could create an entire Vestige boy band. You know what I mean? There you go. But anyway, you got anything else, Age?
Yeah, I don't know. I imagine we'll try the plan. The plan will be at least somewhat successful, but not work outright by itself, and they'll probably end up having to use more of the quirks. Just keep shedding the less and less useful ones.
Right.
Basically just try to only come down to basically just being Black Whip and Fajin.
Yeah. So, anyway, that being said, ladies and gentlemen, people of YouTube beyond, whoever you're watching, as always, we appreciate you stopping by and hanging with us in the dojo for more Anime Night in the Dojo. And this was My Hero Academia final season, episode 5. Pretty much halfway there. Like halfway through next episode we'll be at. So, I can't imagine this final fight with Shigaraki is going to be that long. You know what I mean? I can't imagine it's going to take like 5 episodes more to get through this, and then we'd only get like one epilogue episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah, this will probably be like 3, maybe 4, depending on random shenanigans like Aizawa or other people showing up.
Yep. So anyway, everybody, have a good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you. Have a good one. See you next time.
Hey everyone, Victoria here. If you enjoyed the video, please consider pushing those like and subscribe buttons. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thanks again for your time, and we hope to see you again in the future.